Nets. The 76ers, we talked about this series briefly on our last pod. 76ers take on the Raptors. The Sixers are $1.54. The Raptors are $2.56. This is going to be tight. We spoke about it the other day. What have you got?
I've got the Raptors, and I've got them in 7 games.
In 7, yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
It's the defensive. What I saw in those games, I only watched the highlights of each game that they played up against each other, but Embiid shot 38% against the Raptors when they played them. Harden shot 33% and only averaged 15 points. They were still getting to their spots. I mean, Embiid had a monster game against the second last game they played, but he worked for those points there. And we're talking about teams that could beat you up. Barnes, Pascal Siakam. The length is, they don't play, sometimes they just don't play as centre at all. They just play 5 wing guys out there who can just handle the ball. And their 2 best players, Pascal and Fred VanVleet, they haven't actually shared the court like in those big matchups in there. So, and what they've been playing, and Pascal Siakam's back to all-star, borderline all-NBA level right now. I'm putting Nick Nurse over Doc Rivers in terms of coaching. Harden, I don't like in close games, particularly playoff games, and mate, the Mateus thing as well. I also don't like that, but I'm just going to go the Raptors here. How deep they are, the amount of facets of their game that they can throw it there, and it's what I've seen from both teams these past couple of months that has just made this decision. Who did you go?
So I've gone in 7 games as well, but I've backed in the 76ers. I've backed them in. Geez, it'll be a meltdown in Philadelphia. If they lose another playoff series in 7 games at home, there will be a meltdown.
To the Raptors
the place might burn down. The place might burn down. Well, yeah, you had the Raptors, but like last year against the Hawks, it's just, ridiculous. But I'm backing them in. And the reason I'm backing them in is because they clearly have the best player on the floor, and if Harden can play anywhere near his best, then they probably have the second best player on the floor as well. And to me, I don't like any. I think Embiid will either go off his nut scoring wise, or he's actually going to have a heap of dimes, because the only way they can defend him is if their wings, OG, Siakam, Barnes, double team him all day, because the Raptors' best lineup is VanVleet, Gary Trent, OG, Barnes, Siakam. There's no traditional center there. They're just a bunch of wings, really. So if they try and play Embiid one-on-one, Embiid's going to cook them, and he's going to average 35 to 40 for the series. He will. So their only chance is if they double team. That's going to leave a lot of wide open shots, and it's going to be up to the Sixers to hit them or not at the end of the day. So I've got to back them in just because I think Embiid is by far and away the best player in this series, and it's not close. And then Harden might still be the second best player. And so if you've got definitely the best player and maybe the second best player, I can't see you losing, really.
I'm going to just favour, I guess, one going cold opposed to the other. I see every possibility that James Harden has a 15 points, 33% from the field series, but I know the Raptors' defense will be there 7 games of the series. I know they're not going to go cold on defense, for lack of a better term. And I've actually been seeing it in some games lately, whether people are just trying to get into playoff mode. There's this strategy of not, let's say you're up against Embiid, don't let Embiid touch it, let everyone else kill you. Then there's also the strategy that I think the Bucks used last year against the Nets. Let KD have his 48 points. That's completely fine. And let him go off. But just do not let anyone else go off there. So they kind of exhausted KD in the end there by just letting him go have his 48 points. And I can see a scenario where, like, all right, we're just going to shut down one of their stars completely. The other can pop off for 35, 40. That's completely fine. But one of their stars, we just do not let them go off there. So Nick Nurse, to me, the defensive IQ that he has and the willingness of those Raptors to defend 48 minutes, 7 games a series, I see that as something that could really break. And Philly have looked way too shaky in big games. If those statement games against Denver, against the Bucks, where they just kept melting down the stretch, that did not fill me with confidence at all. And I'm not going to expect a team that melts. I'm not going to expect the Jazz to suddenly turn it up now in the playoffs in pressure situations. And Philly, I'm just not going to have that expectation for them either.
Same boat.
Same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you mean. I will say that series last year between the Bucks and the Nets, Harden was on one hamstring, Kyrie wasn't playing. It was KD and no one else. You look at this 76ers team and it's Embiid, but there's still Harden, who the idea of Harden is still dangerous. They will guard him heavily. It's not like Harden's going to be out there on one hamstring where he can't actually move and they're just going to leave him. They're still going to have to put serious work into James Harden, regardless of how average his form has been and how average he's looked over the last month or so. You've got Tobias Harris there. You need to put a little bit of... Tobias Harris, he's overpaid, we understand. He's a threat of sorts. Tyrese Maxey is a threat. You look back at that the Nets team against the Bucks last season, which you just spoke about, it was KD and one hamstring Harden. And who else? It was no one. So at least you're saying let Embiid pop off for his points. Well, that's fine, but you've still got Maxey, Harris, Harden. There's still offensive threats there that the Nets simply didn't have in that series against the Bucks last year. And I keep talking about that series. One Kevin Durant toe and how long it is was the difference between the series, between the Nets winning and ended up losing. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I completely understand anyone who wants to back the Raptors at $2.56. I'm not going to tell you to bet against that. If hand on heart that is who you think will win, I will not talk you out of that at all. I just think, as I said, it's hard for me to back against a team that will no doubt have the best player on the floor and might have the second best player on the floor. At the end of the day, stars win playoff series, and that's what I'm banking.
I was watching a video actually that was talking about players that have the most to gain from these playoffs. James Harden, if he goes down in flames again, and he's on the table for a $260 million extension next season, this could be career defining. But then at the same time, let's say he wins a ring. He's got every regular season record possible. He could skyrocket skyrocket in terms of historical ranking. Embiid, imagine what that could do for his career. Doc Rivers, I feel like could somehow finally be respectable if he won another championship there. So there's some players out there that Chris Paul is the other guy that I saw on the list who, if you flame out and go down and don't redeem yourself, this could be career tarnishing stuff. But mate, playoffs. The excitement level is this through the roof. We could do a podcast today, I reckon, with what the playoff series matchups we got.